Happy Friday, everybody. Friday, it actually doesn't start the weekend. I think the weekend's already started. Hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving. Andy Lang from WagerTalk.com joining me, as always, my fellow prop master, Andrew McGinnis from WagerTalk.com. Welcome to Prop It Up. And we are going to jump right into the afternoon game, Andrew. The Miami Dolphins travel to New York to take on the Tim Boyle-led Jets. So we're going to break down this game first, and then we're going to take a look at all the Sunday games. Props, a lot of them are out, so we have a lot to pick from. But is there anything that we can really, truly profit on in this game from the props betting market, Andrew?
Andy, good to be here with you, man. One thing I learned yesterday, I know Teddy does his What Did I Learn on Wager Talk today. What I learned is that I wish I continued the simple approach with anytime touchdown scores. It's always fun to bet the plus 400s. It's always nice to hit a defensive touchdown scoring prop. But you know what's nice? When the McCaffrey comes in, when the CD Lambs come in, when the Christian Watsons come in, when the guys that people think should score. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take the guy that scored a touchdown in 4 of his last 6 games, pretty much makes highlight reel plays every single week, and especially when it's a favorable matchup, Tyreek Hill usually exposes teams. And we've talked about the rush defense for the Jets. I feel like you and I have actually had this Jets team. What's going on with the Jets in primetime games? I know they thought Aaron Rodgers was going to be here, but man, I feel like we've had way too many solo shows or starting shows off with the Jets. But yeah, I'm looking at Hill to get a touchdown. I know it's not kind of a groundbreaking play there, but it's one that I want to start getting better at keeping things simple. And as far as that anytime touchdown scoring market, the next one, Andy, I am back to my old reliable pass attempts play, and make it very clear. This is not a Tim Boyle completions prop. This is an attempts prop. This is a guy that started things off in his career with like a 14 pass attempt type of day. Followed that up with a 34 and a 37 pass attempt on the day. And then, of course, last week came in with 14 pass attempts, less than 18 minutes of game time. I think that this is going to be an approach where they're going to see what he has. They're going to know they have to be able to compete and trade points with the Miami Dolphins. They can't take things easily. And you look at even guys like Breece Hall, their running backs have been utilized more as pass catchers for this team lately than actually running backs themselves, because they're finding themselves in games against teams that just score so much. So I don't know how many of these he's going to complete, Andy, but I'm going to take a shot here with Boyle over 30 and a half pass attempts, not completions.
Well, you're going to laugh because I have Tim Boyle will throw a touchdown at minus 130.
Okay.
I just want that minus 130 on any quarterback to throw a touchdown. We've seen this. We've seen quarterbacks get put at half a touchdown, and it's always minus 200. Like the Aiden O'Connell's when he was making a spot start, like it's like minus 200. Even Tyson Bagent was like minus 230 to throw a touchdown. And when I looked at this prop, I was like, wait, minus 130 just to throw one touchdown, even garbage time? Yeah, absolutely. I will take that price. Listen, do I expect him to light it up? Of course not. His stats, Andrew, are horrific. Listen to these stats. In the NFL, he has 3 touchdown passes and 9 interceptions. College, 1 touchdown pass and 13 interceptions. This guy does not throw touchdown passes, and yet I'm going to do it because he's going to have the entire game unless he gets hurt. And this is a Dolphins team that, A, has given up a touchdown pass, at least one, to every quarterback this year. And 2, it's a little brisky, little breezy up there in New York. This is not Miami. Right now it's 49 degrees. It's not super cold. I'm not a big believer in this Miami team when they go on the road. They've struggled on the road here. They barely beat the Chargers. They barely beat the Patriots. They got creamed by the Bills. They lost to producer Dan's Philadelphia Eagles. So I don't think this defense is as good. I don't think this defense is as good on the road. I'm going to take him to throw a touchdown. It may be ugly. It may be late, but I think he gets one here. And I'm going to take Raheem Mostert over 14.5 rush attempts. This Dolphins backfield is not healthy. He had 22 rushes last week. I don't know why they would risk Devon A-Chain in this game. Even if he plays, I don't think they're going to give him a lot of carries, because if the Dolphins have playoff, aspirations, and they want to make a run, they're going to need him healthy. And Mostert has been a workhorse this year. So if they're running out the clock, I could see him getting quite a few carries in the second half. So this 14.5 seems pretty low. Monitor the injury report and make sure that he's still, the main guy. And if A-Chain's out, then this looks good. So I'll take Boyle to throw a touchdown and Raheem Mostert over rush attempts. So yeah, the Tim Boyle, I can't believe you and I came to the same conclusion as we want to take some overs on Tim Boyle. Amazing. So, all right, guys, while you're listening, please hit the like button and leave us a comment. Tell us what your favorite prop is for today or for Sunday. We love reading those comments. We had some really, really nice hits for yesterday's game. And we have a couple of things to promote here. These specials are good for myself or Andrew. No promo code needed. That 7-day special is still going on. It's our annual amazing deal, 7 days, discounted all the way down to $69. I know a lot of you have already taken advantage of that. Very, very smart move. You're not going to get a 7-day special at this price. This is good through Sunday. So just go to Andrew or myself's WagerTalk profile page and lock in 7 days for $69. Starting today, Black Friday through Cyber Monday, we're going to do a 90-day special. That is discounted all the way down to $597. That's less than $7 a day. So if you've already locked in that 7-day pass, maybe wait till Sunday and then lock in 90 days. You're going to get a long list of bets for a really, really good discounted price. So that it starts today, goes through Cyber Monday. So you don't need a promo code. Just go to my page, go to Andrew's page. So Andrew, tell everyone what you have up for today. We got an interesting slate of hockey. We got afternoon games, jam-packed weekend. So what do you have up and where can we find you at?
Andy, of course, at wt.buzz/am over at wagertalk.com. We have had 5% NHL play today. I'm pumped about it. It's a big day in the NHL. And one play that really stuck out to me right away. So 5% play at NHL. I decided to stick it with really low volume with the NFL on Thanksgiving, 2-0. Really doing well with these passing props. So I have one more passing prop I have my eye on for the weekend on Sunday. And maybe I'll add one or two more props. But, here on Prop It Up, we're giving out a ton of information, a ton of picks. And over at our Wager Talk plays is where you can get our best ones, our favorite, our premium plays. And that's kind of how I've been doing it. If you want volume from me, come to the show. If you want my favorite ones, go over and buy my picks over at Wager Talk.
Awesome. Let's get into the Sunday games. And Andrew, you're going to get us started. Saints at the Falcons. Let's take a look at some of the props in this game. What did you find in this Saints at Falcons? Derek Carr, it looks like, has been cleared to play. Cleared concussion protocol yesterday. So it looks like we're going to get Derek Carr as the quarterback. What do you like in this game?
Andy, not a lot, to be honest with you, but I did find two bets here. And this one kind of caught me off guard a little bit because I didn't really get why the number was still where it is here. Taysom Hill, we used to talk about him quite a bit last year on the show because he's still utilized, whether it was like anytime touchdown or the occasional run. Under 19.5 rushing yards, he's hit this in 7 of his last 10 games he's been in. And it's simple. The attempts just aren't there. The guy averages like 1 attempt per game. So he's still getting out there and playing in the game, but he's not getting the ball very much. And only 2 attempts one time this season. And realistically, he's only been using the goal line. He's pretty much getting there to get that 1 first down push or to get that touchdown, but he's not being utilized really as a playmaker anymore. And I remember looking back to last year, even the year prior, where he was actually a decent part of this offense, but under on a backup quarterback's rushing yards is not how I thought I'd start off my day here on Prop It Up, but that's where we're going. I'm also going to go with another under here with Raheem Shaheed under 52.5 receiving yards. Atlanta 8th best pass defense. And this is one of those opportunities for a guy that is a lot of times hitting his reception prop over, but going under his receiving yards. We talk about this all the time. Some people are reception players, some people are yards, and going and taking a look at some of his games he's had recently. We're talking 5, 3, 3, 4. 3 of his last 4 games, he's gone under this, and 4 of his last 6, he's gone under that number. I think it's a little bit too high against this defense. And also the Saints have quite a few options. They have been spreading out their offense. So unless he reaches, I'd say 5, 6 receptions, I think he goes under this number, Andy. He's been a clear receptions versus yards type of guy. So I have nothing on the Falcons right now, actually. Just those 2 plays. I know it's the start of the show, but I want to ask you what you think about that Hill one, because I think it's very interesting. The number right now at all books, 19.5. The guy is barely being utilized.
I don't know. Can I just pass? Can I just say I don't know? Can I just say
you can pass. Yeah, I just thought it was weird. I just thought it was really weird.
It is weird, and sometimes when I see these bets, I sometimes I can overthink them, and then I've just learned that if something makes absolutely no sense to me whatsoever, I push it off to the side and I go the other way. That one confuses me. It gives me a headache, so I'll just happily pass on that one on that prop. So I'm going to take a look here at the Steelers at the Bengals. Bengals props are really not out yet, probably because we're looking at the quarterback situation here. But Andrew, I just want one prop in this game, and it's Jaylen Warren over 50.5 rushing. I feel like this is going to be the lowest total that we're going to get on Jaylen Warren for the rest of the season if he blows past this total. Bengals are a bad rush defense. 137.7 yards allowed rushing per game in the last 3. And Jaylen Warren is the guy now in Pittsburgh. I mean, eye test, we've been saying it all year. He looks better than Najee Harris. He's got the explosion. He just moves better. He seems to be a better pass catcher. He has 81, 101, and 129 the last 3 weeks. He has a rush of 20 yards or more in each of the last 3 weeks. And with Browning at quarterback with the Bengals, we have no idea what the game script is going to be. But I just don't think the game script is going to be the Bengals get out to a huge lead and the Steelers don't run the ball. So I think he gets over this total. It wouldn't surprise me if the Steelers really control the time of possession in this game. And at 50.5, like I said, I don't think we're going to – if he goes way over this number, man, that number is going to be in the 60s next week. So I just think this is maybe one of the last times that we're going to get a number around this 50-yard mark with Jaylen Warren. So that's the only prop I wanted to take in this game is Jaylen Warren over. Panthers at Titans, Angie, you get the barn burner this week. So listen, this is sometimes the props are the ways to make these games interesting. What did you find out about the Panthers and the Titans?
I'm not sure if you're doing it on purpose, Andy, but I find that the ones I have all the trends on, you keep giving me them. So, look, I'm just going to keep it simple. Look, I've said it every single week, and I'll say it again, and I won't take too much time on it. When Derrick Henry has a great matchup, you take the over. When he has a hard matchup against a good team against the run, you take the under. We've cashed that ticket last week on the under, and this week they're playing a team that's the 27th ranked rush defense. The numbers obviously adjusted. It goes from like a mere 50 yards to 69 yards. But to me, that's going to be, on purpose based on what this Panthers team is doing. Every single running back that's playing this Panthers team seems to be having the game of their season. So when I look at Derrick Henry, it's very simple for me this year. And I don't want to, I think that when you look at Will Levis as well, and you look at the offense for this Titans team, they're really going as Derrick Henry goes. If the running game isn't established, then he's not able to throw. So the funny thing is, as much as I'm looking at the rushing yard prop actually for Derrick Henry, I like Will Levis over his number. I think 197 is kind of cheap compared to what we've seen him average 215 yards through the air per game. And, he's had some with 260, 240. Like, we're seeing a pretty low number here. And I got to tell you what, man, you've talked about the fact that DJ Moore is kind of like the only option for Chicago. I think that when you look at Adam Thielen, it's time to take unders on him because he's pretty much, the books have realized he's all they have. He's the only game changer really for them. But looking at the start of the season, at the numbers we saw for him in like the 20s and like over 2.5 receptions to now him being their lead receiver, to me, that number has gotten overly adjusted. So I'm going to take the under on Thielen, but I'm running it back, man. If I see a good matchup for Derrick Henry, I look towards the over.
Love it. Yeah, you're right about Thielen. It's a great point. Like, even if you just kind of extrapolate what he's done, the first part of the season, and say, is he really going to catch 1,900 yards? Because that's what he was on pace for, for a while. It's like, no, he's not going to do that. So I'm with you on Thielen. I think it's a perfect time to zig when the books are kind of zagging and putting up those big numbers. I'm going to take a look at the Buccaneers at my Indianapolis Colts. Andrew, I'm frustrated because this Colts team is just kind of unbettable. I can't pick a guy that I want to take an over or an under on. It's a good matchup in the passing game, but I'm not taking an over on Gardner Minshew. At the same time, I don't want to take an interception prop because this Bucs secondary is not very good. So I'm looking at the other side, and I'm looking. I always end up going back to Rachaad White, and I normally I've used his receptions. Or not his receptions, but his receiving yards. I'm going to throw the rushing yards in here, and I like this rushing and receiving. We have not done very many picks in this category. I think this is a perfect time to take Rachaad White over 85.5 rushing plus receiving because he can do it in both. And it wouldn't surprise me if one of these categories he dominates. The Colts, their rush defense has absolutely fallen apart, Andrew. 155 yards rushing per game the last 3 games. We just released Darius Leonard. That's a sad story. I hope that guy finds a good landing spot. Just could not get over the back injury. But, Andrew, this is a Colts team that gave up 120-plus yards to Carolina. New England rushed for 160 yards. Rachaad White is going to touch the ball quite a bit, and we've talked about how he's gone over his receiving total 5 games in a row. If you're the Buccaneers, this is kind of one of those don't overthink it games. Get Rachaad White the ball. He's going to have some big plays. And this Colts rush defense, which was a really, really good rush defense at the beginning of the year, has fallen apart. Too many injuries, and this is a rush defense that I want to fade all day long. So Rachaad White over 85.5 rushing plus receiving is the only way I'm going in this one. I almost got to the window on Mike Evans. I don't know why, but that guy just keeps continuing to produce maybe an anytime touchdown for him, kind of in the similar line that you were talking about. Just take the guys that we know are going to score touchdowns. We don't have anybody that's going to guard Mike Evans. Are you kidding me? So, yeah, those are the games.
I think he's so underrated, Andy. He's so underrated.
Is.
Does not get the credit he deserves.
No, he's putting up good numbers with Baker Mayfield at quarterback. So, and I mean, we saw how good he, can be with Brady. That's his. I mean, he looked amazing with it. So, he is underrated. But I'm going Rachaad White as my best prop in this one. Patriots and Giants. I didn't mean to give you all these games, Andrew. I apologize for this. So, just bad quarterbacks all over the board this week. So, what do you think, Patriots and Giants?
I have 2. I'll start things off with Ezekiel Elliott under his rushing number. I think that for Zeke, I mean, first of all, just the trend is your friend with him under an 8 of his last 10 games, under 37.5. And what I kind of like about team player props on teams like the Patriots is looking at guys that are coming off decent performances their last time out and just saying, not so fast, man. Like, you're not getting on a roll here. I'm going to go the under immediately after you have a good game. That was kind of Zeke's story here. Looking at his last game, 13 rush attempts for 54 yards, also caught a few targets, 34 receiving yards. And to me, that was just a favorable matchup. That was an opportunity for them to take care of things and kind of breeze through things. And even though this is a game against the Giants, I feel like we're going to see the New England Patriots actually pass the ball a lot more, expose the pass defense of the Giants, utilize some of these weapons. And if you look at their record, they're 2-8. I'm no Patriots fan, but I actually think they have been a hell of a lot better than their record indicates. They haven't had the easiest schedule by any means. This game is a game I do see them passing a lot to start the game off, maybe utilizing Zeke kind of later in the game. But I think they under here for him, and that streak is just unbelievable. 7 of his last 10 games, despite that number getting lower and lower and lower, I have to look towards the under for him. And if I'm going to talk up this Patriots team, I have to look towards team total under 14.5 for the New York Giants. And here's the deal, Andy. I wanted to look towards Tommy DeVito unders, but then I said to myself, how many times do you see quarterbacks somehow have big games, but their team doesn't play very well? You know who's a great example of that is yesterday with Sam Howell over his passing yards. My clients and I cashed that ticket, and they barely score any points. They were forced to go for it on fourth down a ton. They had turnovers. Like, how can a guy put up like 300 plus passing yards and his team not do very well? So I don't really care what Tommy DeVito does. I'm looking at under 14.5. It's around minus 110. And just quickly, I mean, looking at some of these numbers for teams that play against Bill Belichick with a rookie starter, 6-24 record with 25 touchdown passes, 44 interceptions, and a 64 quarterback rating for Patriots for teams with rookie quarterbacks playing against Bill Belichick since 2000. So since I was like 3 years old, is how long Bill Belichick has been dominating rookie quarterbacks. So I don't really have it in me to take the full game under. I know it's a prop show, but my favorite one here is actually the New York Giants under 14.5.
I have to shout out to my good friend Jim Malero, who's in the chat and who actually recorded the PFL breakdown video. So Jim dominates sack props. And Andrew, I have to bring this up. So Tommy DeVito has started 3 games. He's been sacked 6, 5, and 9 times. This guy's been sacked 20 times in 3 games. So load up the sack props against Tommy DeVito. That game against Sam Howell last week was just a sack prop dream. So I have to bring up Tommy DeVito will get sacked multiple times.
I feel like that's a fun prop to cheer for. It's probably a really fun one to cheer. I don't think I've ever bet one of those, honestly, Andy, but I feel like that's a fun one to cheer for because you just hope that every snap you're hoping for something. Every single snap you got a chance.
They are shockingly profitable when you just find these quarterbacks like Sam Howell and Tommy DeVito. Sam Howell has been sacked the most in the league, and Tommy DeVito is already, I think he's already like the 12th most sacked quarterback. He's only started 3 games. He just will not throw the ball away. Can't read the defense. Just constantly getting hit in the pocket. So, I mean, when you had Sam Howell yesterday, Micah Parsons to have a sack, he had like 1.5 sacks. Like some of these matchups, you don't even need to research a whole lot. Just know who's getting sacked a lot and know who the guy on the other team who's going to sack him is going to be. So, we'll move on to the Jaguars at the Texans. Andrew, this is just becoming a play it every week. Robert Woods under 18.5 longest reception. He's gone under in 6 straight games. As long as they throw out this 18.5. This goes back to his days at the Titans. He never had these long catches. So he got close last week, but sometimes he only has like 1 or 2 catches in games. So I'll take his under. And this one, listen, the numbers don't lie. Trevor Lawrence, his passing touchdowns is 1.5. I'm taking the under. He has multiple touchdown passes in only 3 games this season, and 2 of them are against my Colts. This is a guy who just, like, if you drafted him to be your stud in fantasy football, he just really hasn't quite put up the numbers, and these passing touchdowns are just not coming. Texans, they've only given up 10 passing touchdowns all season. That blew my mind. Some of these shootouts that Houston has been involved in, and yet they've only allowed 10 touchdowns. So this is one of those where you're like, oh, Trevor Lawrence, he's got Calvin Ridley, he's got Christian Kirk, he's got Travis Etienne out of the backfield. It's just not happening with these touchdown passes. So if you're going to play Trevor Lawrence under today, I would continue to play him. This may be just play it every week for the rest of the season. I think you're going to come out above 500 because the numbers on him just don't lie. He's just not throwing multiple touchdown passes. So I'll take Robert Woods under longest reception and Trevor Lawrence under his touchdown passes in this one. Browns at the Broncos. Andrew, this game all of a sudden is very interesting. The Broncos on fire after a dismal start to the season. So this game actually has some playoff implications wrapped around it. So I think it's more interesting than initially when you look at it on paper. But what did you find in the props betting market for this one?
Yeah, Andy, looking at the tight end market actually for David Njoku, he's actually been catching fire. He's probably been the most consistent Browns receiver. I mean, really looking at it, and I think that I've noticed a trend, and I have nothing to really back it up as far as a whole scale, that when teams are going through adversity, when they're going through quarterback changes, the tight end seems to always step up their game. The tight end, it's almost like the tight end, it's just easy. Yep, they're up the middle. There he is. It's easy to find. Whereas when you got a new quarterback getting slotted in with the receivers, they don't seem to establish that chemistry fast enough. Looking at the last few games here, the current number set at 38, 56 yards last game, 58 the week before that against Baltimore. He is being utilized. And I talk about receptions versus yards. I think for him, you do want to look towards yards because it's not like he's just been a safety blanket. He's been someone making big plays. And this Broncos team has not fared well against the tight end position. So when you have a quarterback that's instantly making a connection with a certain position or a certain player, and that number is completely off to me with 38.5, I want to look towards the over right away. David Njoku over 38.5 yards. And Russell Wilson over on his rushing yards. At the start of the year, this guy was not moving whatsoever. We actually started seeing him finally get on the run. And I told you this before, Andy. When I look towards heavy pass rushes, I kind of went away with it because I think that I actually respect the Browns pass rush a little bit. And I said I don't want to look towards quarterback rushing props anymore when they're playing against heavy pass rushes because, well, they're impacted by it and they can't run. But when you got a guy like Russell Wilson, he seems to actually do his best as far as his running games when he does face some pressure. When he's one skill that he's had, and even the newer version of Russell Wilson and the old Russell Wilson, when he's really good at quickly understanding when he's under pressure. He does not take a lot of time. And as much as I saw a great career game out of Jordan Love yesterday, that's one thing my quarterback over in Green Bay has to work on, recognizing really quick you're under duress. And I like the over on rushing yards for Russell Wilson. But David Njoku is my best bet here for this one. That number's off, and I think I got to keep looking at him with this new chemistry he's established.
Agree completely on Njoku. I think he's undervalued, like shockingly undervalued. So the guy's really, really good. Love that play. Rams at the Cardinals, only one play for me, and I'm going to the Rams. And I like this Kyron Williams returning. He's fresh. I had it at 60.5 last night. I believe it's already moved up to 62.5. So, you got Stafford, who's clearly hurt. You have Cooper Kupp, who is hurt. Don't even know if he's going to play in this one. And you have Arizona, who's giving up over 130 yards rushing per game. Last game that Kyron Williams actually played was against this Arizona team. He rushed 20 times for over 100 yards. And if you're worried about Kyron Williams, like, is he banged up? I mean, the Rams moved Darrell Henderson down to the practice squad. Like, I kind of feel bad for him. Like, thanks for coming. Now you're back down to the practice squad already. This guy was, starting. So they clearly see that he is 100%. And if he's fresh going up against an Arizona team that is pretty bad against the rush, that's the only prop I really want in this one. Some of the receiving props really scare me. I don't really know what to do with Trey McBride or Marquise Brown. And the other prop that the books are all over, gosh darn it, they were all over raising Kyler Murray's rushing total. That thing was like 26.5 last week. Now it's 34.5. That's a monster move by the books. So unfortunately, the value on Kyler Murray rushing seems to be gone. So I'll just stick with Kyron Williams over his rushing total and be happy with that one. Chiefs at the Raiders. Andrew, Chiefs coming off of a crazy game against the Philadelphia Eagles. What do you like props-wise in this Raiders and Chiefs matchup?
Andy, I like, again, looking at quarterbacks sometimes when they're expected to lose, expected to, kind of fall behind early. I like Aiden O'Connell over his number, 199.5 yards. I mean, this is, to me, an opportunity where you're getting a quarterback that's obviously not in the greatest matchup, not expected to have the ball in his hands too often, really. But the number that's been adjusted in this one, I just think is too low. I mean, looking at some of the performances he's been able to put up already, coming off a 273-yard mark, I think that when they can't run the ball, they go deep. I mean, it's very simple. If they have, this is how it works. I'll keep it very simple for you guys at home. If you're looking at Raiders props and you want to bet rushing props and you want to look at Josh Jacobs ever, you look to utilize him in games that the point spread is very small, like almost 3 or less. If they are playing a team that is expected to beat them by a touchdown or more, then you do not look towards the rushing props. You bet the under on those, and you bet the quarterback props to the over because they have no choice but to throw the ball. And O'Connell actually has quite the arm on him. So I'll look towards the over on him. The numbers, the games he's played well in, and even mediocre, even when they've lost, he still put up way more yards than this. So I'll look towards the over there. I do respect KC's defense, but not that much. I want to look towards Marquez Valdez-Scantling over his number. I like to look towards guys that are coming off, games where they did not play well, drop passes, weren't really performing to their ability, and kind of getting a good matchup against the Raiders here. And my old friend, Andy, we all have our favorite guys we like to look at. Jerick McKinnon is actually becoming a player in mine that I feel like I've had a good read on. And this to me is a matchup where they just kind of throw out guys like him, like Coach Reed and the offensive coordinators for the Chiefs kind of give certain guys games like this, and it's not really a big matchup. We all know that how many people are going to be watching this game compared to the Eagles game? Not many, but I think McKinnon's going to be utilized. They're going to use him in the receiving game, so I wouldn't take the rushing plus receiving. I expect kind of a 6 or 7 yard dump off pass that he turns into something, and his number is only early 20s as far as his receiving yard number is concerned. But I like Aiden O'Connell today, or for Sunday, obviously.
Love it. Wow, we have a Jerick McKinnon reference. Wow, what a didn't expect.
I gotta get his jersey, man. I gotta get his jersey. I swear, I bet on him a decent amount.
I love it. We need it. Yeah, you're Jerick McKinnon's biggest fan. Follow Andrew on Twitter for all the latest Jerick McKinnon news and excitement. So I'm going to take a look at the Bills and the Eagles. The Bills continue to be one of the most confusing teams in all of props betting. I can't bet on anything with the Bills.
Good luck.
Is Gabe Davis? Yes, is Gabe Davis going to have 88 yards or 0? That's the volatility with this team. Stephon Diggs all of a sudden isn't that good, yet they're going up against the secondary that gives up a lot of yards. So I was on the fence at what to do here. So, Andrew, I wanted to take 2 Eagles. I wanted to take DeAndre Swift over his rushing and Jalen Hurts over his passing. And I know both can get there, but I feel like that's a little bit risky. I feel like you're begging for a 1-and-1 and getting juiced on that. So I narrowed it down. I'm going to settle in on Jalen Hurts over 242.5 yards passing. So I think we're getting a discount on him because he only had 150 yards against Kansas City and only 207 against Dallas in the last 2 games. So not great numbers. However, those are 2 top 4 teams in yards allowed. Before that, he went over this total in 6 straight games. And I want to do this. I went back and looked because Buffalo ranks high in yards allowed passing. They're like top 12. And I'm like, how? This defense isn't that good. They're all banged up. Listen to the quarterbacks they faced. Week 1, they faced Aaron Rodgers for 2 plays? And then Zach Wilson. Week 2, they get Jimmy Garoppolo. Week 6, they got to face Tyrod Taylor. Week 7, Mac Jones. Week 8, Baker Mayfield. Week 10, Russell Wilson, who went under this total, but he was 24 of 29. And then week 11, they get the combo of Zach Wilson and Tim Boyle. So no wonder they're top 12. Now let's take a look at the 3 best quarterbacks they faced this year. Tua had 282 yards. That's 40 yards over this total. Trevor Lawrence had 315 yards. Joe Burrow had 348 yards. So when they face a competent, good quarterback who's got weapons, you can shred this defense, and I think that's what the Philadelphia Eagles do here. I think this is a huge bounce-back game for Jalen Hurts as far as stats-wise. Philly's doing a great job navigating this unbelievably difficult part of their schedule. I've talked about this. So they go Dallas, bye week, Kansas City, Buffalo, and then they get San Francisco next week, followed by at Dallas and at Seattle. So rough schedule there. But then, of course, Andrew, they close out with the Giants, the Cardinals, and the Giants. So pretty amazing schedule there. But, yeah, Jalen Hurts, I wouldn't be mad if anybody went to DeAndre Swift over his rushing, but I think Jalen Hurts is the one that gets it done here. So. All right, Andrew. Last game, Ravens at Chargers. But guys, I want to just remind you guys, we have two specials going on. They work for myself and Andrew. There's no promo code needed. You can get 7 days at $69. That's a massive discount. You don't need a promo code. Just go to Andrew or myself's profile page on WagerTalk.com. And we just started our Black Friday through Cyber Monday special. This is a 90-day pass for less than $7 a day. It includes all sports, all percentages. You can lock that in with no promo code at wagertalk.com. Andrew, remind everybody what you have up, where we can find you, and let's break down this Ravens and Chargers game.
Andy, and right now, I'll tell you what, where I live in the world, it's getting dark at like 4:30 or 5 o'clock. I don't know what I'd do without sports betting and sports, but there are so many games. It's a great time for people to take advantage of those long-term deals, because if you're interested and you want to try out a capper, and let's say, if you want one of us, like Andy or myself, we're not just doing NFL props. We're not just doing hoops. We're not just doing UFC. You're going to get it all when you get these all sport packages. So certainly worth it. And there's so many different sports going on right now. Guys, get my prop pack for Sunday. We're keeping it real low volume in the NFL. And really, this is the time of the year last year that I caught fire as far as my prop plays are concerned in the NFL. So join me, and also a 5% play going Friday night in the NHL as well. Andy, look, I talk about matchups, favorable matchups versus not so favorable matchups. Well, Austin Eckler had quite the matchup against my Green Bay Packers that struggle with their rushing defense. In fact, they make every running back look great. You've talked about ad nauseum how the Chargers defense make opposing quarterbacks look great. So matchups are a great thing because you can utilize certain players. But at the end of the day, I think what we always try and preach is that you're really betting against the team's poor position. So I want to look towards Lamar Jackson over on his passing yards, and I want to look towards the under on Austin Eckler with his rushing, coming off two decent performances, but that was against the Packers and the Lions. The Packers won 64 yards for him. He had 10 attempts. I do not think he'll be able to utilize that. The Baltimore Ravens put up points, and they also rank number 13 as far as their rushing defense. So things will be a little bit tougher for them on the ground than it was against the Packers. Here's the guy I want to look at. If I'm going to talk the talk about looking towards bounce back players, the ultimate bounce back player to bet on is Quentin Johnston. He had 6 targets, caught just 2 of them for 21 yards. One of them was that critical drop that hit the guy in the chest, and he could not come down with it. This, to me, is a guy that's going to be needed. They will need him to spread the field a little bit. He's one of those guys that you want to look at yards versus receptions. He's good for a couple, long targets, past 20-plus yards. And, he's getting the targets 6, 7, 6. He's really kind of being utilized by Justin Herbert. And I think that when you see a guy like that make mistakes, you got to go back to him the next week. So 6 targets, 2 catches, doesn't bother me. I'm going right back to him.
Love it. Love it. Guys, please hit the like button if you're enjoying all the gambling content, and check out all the other videos. We're doing every game breakdown in the NFL. We've got NBA games, college football games, you name it. If you're looking for any type of breakdown, those videos are like 4 to 5 minutes max. So really good way to just take a look at one of the handicappers from Wager Talk and breaking down one of those games. So leave us a comment. Make sure you tell us our best bet. I love going through them. Monday we'll recap how your guys' bets did in the comments section. So hit the like button. Leave us that comment. Enjoy the weekend. Remember, guys, don't overexpose yourself with too many units. You don't have to bet every game today. If you don't love something in this Miami-New York Jets game, it's okay to play it small or just lay off. There's amazing spots all throughout the weekend, so let's make sure this weekend is a profitable one. Good luck on all your bets. We will see everyone Monday on Prop It Up.